YouTube, what's going on? Okay, one of my younger subscribers sent me a question, and typically we talk through PM, but I think he would like me to do a vid on this one. So let me read to you a question. Hey Pink, this can be another Michael Jordan associated topic that you can address in a vid. Do you personally think that Michael Jordan sneakers are priced way too high for the average person? For the most part, his sneakers are worn by suburban and inner city black children. The inner city black children may be starving, but yet wearing $175 Jordan sneakers. I know you have stores such as Flight Club in Los Angeles, and it's pretty much a high-end boutique shop for different tennis shoes. There's a lot of them, I guess, out in the Chicago, New York area. We have a couple in the LA area, but not too much. But I know the store that he's talking about. These stores sell Jordans upwards of $300. Don't you think that the price to be in style is very high? Yeah, I agree with everything you have to say. It's funny because initially sneakers, especially Jordan sneakers, were marketed towards young black males, especially inner city black males. But the shoe price was always high. I remember in the early 90s, 2020 or late 80s, they would have some special about, some kid getting killed over a pair of shoes, typically Jordans or some pair of Nikes, because people couldn't afford them. So the best way to get it was to rob somebody, right? So even then, even when the target demographic wasn't even mainstream America, it was more so young black men, they were still way overpriced. But they did it because they know black people are big time consumers, pure and simple. Now, the whole skateboard phase for us didn't really get big till, I would say, mid 90s. So when it got out to us, I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade, so it was anywhere from 95, 96, 96, 97. And I remember when they started making skater shoes, and the industry kind of blew up. So you had these skateboard shops and different brands in terms of like DC and Etnies, other skateboard brand shoes were popping up where I was living. And I remember, and of course, the target audience was the suburb white dude. He's skateboarding in his community, right? But the shoe was always well priced. Okay, they were anywhere from $50 to $80. And to me, it was funny because if anybody had the money in terms of buying a pair of shoes that was over $100, it would be suburb white America. But these skateboard companies or these, people making the skateboarding shoes knew that white people weren't going to buy their children $100+ pair of shoes only to skateboard in, and the cool thing was to break them in, right? So if you had a pair of basketball shoes, you didn't really, if you had a pair of Jordans, you don't play basketball in them, right? You wear them for style. But it was cool for a skateboard shoe to really get broken in. So the whole idea of spending $100+ for a pair of shoes that the child is just going to break in a couple of weeks was foolish. Right? And this goes back to the whole idea of being an educated consumer. So as far as Jordan sneakers always being overpriced, it was insanely overpriced. So the whole idea, and of course, black culture has blown up. So you have more people who are buying into black culture because it's a commodity. I don't know how many white boys walk around now wearing the same sort of apparel that black people were wearing for a long time because it's cool now, because it's trendy now. Hip-hop is blown up, right? It went from being marginalized to being mainstreamed on BET and MTV. So everybody wanted a piece. But in terms of the price, that had already been set. There is no major boom in terms of the price of sneakers, in terms of being relatively high. Yeah, you can say inflation, but the price of Jordans and other sneakers had already been high because black people were already willing to pay that much. So for companies like Nike, it was a win-win. Black people were already going to spend a lot of money, so they're making money that way. And then when people bought into black culture, they said, hey, anything to be cool. So it's nothing. It's nothing now for Nike to make a whole bunch of money because black people are going to buy it. People are going to copy what black men are wearing. So they're making a lot of money. But in terms of the Jordan sneakers being overpriced, now it's grotesquely overpriced. I remember, you might cop a pair for $100, $139, $150 with tax. So you would ask your mom, hey, can I get $150? How much are the shoes? $139. But, mom, you got to put in the tax, and we want to go out to eat afterwards. It was an event. Wake up early, go to the mall, wait in line, get our shoes, go eat, oogle over the shoes for a couple hours and figure out what we were going to wear on Monday. And that's what we did. Very foolish. Very foolish. Even if I'm balling, will my son be doing that? No. Unfortunately, for me, it was a bad habit that I had to kick maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I still have a lot of my shoes because I really keep them in good condition, but it's a stupid habit. Okay? But even then, I was a little bit under control. Because in terms of Jordan sneakers, I don't know if you, and this is to the person who asked the question and to everybody else, the whole idea of it going over 150 to 175 to 250, that happened around, I want to say 2001, 2002. I forgot the number, but the Jordan, I think it was when he was with the Wizards, MJ. He had a pair of shoes, and when you bought them, it came with a briefcase, a metal briefcase. So dudes will walk around with the briefcase, because the Jordans were in there. And I believe those were $250. And, after that, that's when it started to get a little bit insane. Right? So now in terms of sneakers, it's very grotesque. And not just with Jordans, but other Nike shoes as well. I remember before Air Force Ones, you can get lows for 50, 60. The ones with the strap were 70, 75. But, Nelly did I Need My Air Force Ones and all this other good stuff. And everybody was really buying into black culture. And they raised those prices up. So a pair of all white lows was 75. The highs were, 85. And it just really went up. Right? And the dunks, before, they were throwaways. For us, when we were in high school, dunks is what you got when they didn't have the all whites. Because for us, it wasn't like the East Coast where a lot of you guys get the more current stuff. We would get kind of the leftovers because our market wasn't that big. So around the springtime, Foot Lockers, they would get the all whites. So everybody knew, go get your all whites, go get 2 pair. Because when they went out of season, you had to wait a whole year. Because when fall hit, fall and winter, the only thing that they had were the darker colors like the all blacks and whatnot. But next to the Air Force Ones, they introduced the dunks. And they were like $40, $50. People weren't really on them. Yeah, I'll get them, kind of throwaway type of a shoe. And so now, the same shoe that I was in high school that was $50, $55, they now retail for $300, $400 at a store. Not even counting eBay, where it can probably go up to anywhere $700 for a shoe that was $40, $50. So now it's just grotesquely overpriced to stay in style. Right? It's ridiculous. I am glad though, however, with the kids that I'm exposed to, a lot of them, thank the Lord, are more so for the last couple of years wearing Vans and Chuck Taylors, which is, $30, $40 if you go to the right spot, which is obviously significantly cheaper than a pair of $150 sneakers. So luckily that's happening, and hopefully that catches on. But yeah, I completely agree with how you feel. It's always been extremely high to be in style for black people, but we've always paid for it. So now it's just grotesquely overpriced, but for the longest it's always been overpriced. From the word go, we were never in a position to pay what we've been paying for style. But these companies know how to market towards black people because they know we'll buy it. So they'll put anything at whatever price and we will buy it. But they won't do it to suburb white America because, yeah, they have the money, but they're educated consumers. So they're not going to buy their child $150 shoes that they're going to go to the park and play football. Doesn't make any sense, right? So anyways, you take it easy. Tell me how you feel. God bless.